Okay, with that, we'll begin today's commission meeting. Reminds me of family reunion. We would like to go ahead and begin our commission meeting at this time. We're waiting for certain guests to arrive. I don't see them yet. In addition, there's a couple others that are coming. We'll see how it works out from there. Okay, today's meeting, we always begin with a prayer, reading, or thought, and a pledge of allegiance. We have Karen Walton of the Sunday Adventist Church. She's an elder of that church here to provide a prayer. I'm sorry, Linda. Sorry, Linda. You'll never talk to me again now.
You're right.
After she gives a prayer, if you just one moment, do we have someone in the audience that would like to offer our lead us in the pledge of allegiance? Sheriff, please. Linda, thank you.
Let's pray together. Our dear Father in heaven, it's been an interesting week, Father. A lot of things going on all different levels, here locally, our state, our country, our world. And Father, we are so grateful that you have given us all the things that we have, our families, our government, our resources, wisdom. It's still very difficult, Father, as you know, and we pray that you will give us more wisdom, that you will help us to talk to the right people, read the right book, whatever it is, Father, that it takes for us to do the right things. And Father, today we pray that you'll be with us during this meeting, that good decisions will be made and that they will be followed through for the very best of our community. Thank you for being in the country that we're in with the freedoms that we enjoy, and for our elected officials, for our volunteers, for all the people that serve, and particularly the military and the police. And we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Linda.
The audience, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Lisa, would you check on the other guests and see where they are? You are doing okay. Thank you. What we'll do, we'll modify this just a little bit. We'll go ahead. We're going to have a recognition for the Employee of the Month for this, for March, after which we'll have a consent agenda. And we'll go through that and confirm whether we want to hold things or if we have read and are satisfied with what we have and are ready to approve it as presented. And we'll move that to consent. And then instead of having the work session, we've already contacted them ahead of time. We've asked that we delay the work session a little bit for agenda number 14 that you will see, and that is recognition for the distresses that's going on in the country of Ukraine right now. So with that, there'll be some other changes that I'll bring up as we get ready to. But for now, it's time for recognition. Chris Cole, by any chance? Where is she? There she is, Chris. No, you don't have to come up here yet.
But you will.
But I'll try to get you as read as a beat as much as I can. How's that? This was submitted by the Children's Justice Center. And as a staff, they wrote this up. They said Chris's tenure began with the Children's Justice Center in 2007. And she has been a dedicated worker from that first day until through now. She shows up early and works hard all day, stays well past closing time, and never was there a word of complaint. She is eager to learn and inspired to help serve child victims of abuse in our community. And she takes on projects that could easily use 3 to 4 people to help, but she does them by herself. I need to get you a cape. Luckily, Chris is now a clinical supervisor, and she provides services to parents and guardians who bring their children to be interviewed at the center. She sits with parents during some of their darkest moments and helps get them on the road to healing. She manages multiple cases a day, and Chris supervises an incredible team of individuals. And their words really capture a huge impact Chris has been on the staff. One member says that Chris gives us great support as a supervisor. She's aware of our needs and makes strong efforts to maintain unity, teamwork, and a work ethic. Another said that Chris is always supportive and helpful. She never makes me feel bad for doing things wrong. She understands work and life balance and helps me keep that in mind. I appreciate Chris's authenticity in everything she says and does. And I love that Chris speaks from the heart, especially when she's supporting her colleagues and team members. She knows that being a good leader does not mean having all the answers or telling others what to do. It means creating a safe and supportive environment where people can be vulnerable and honest. And another says, where do I even start? Chris has been the backbone of the center. Her compassionate heart is critical to not only our staff, but especially to the caregivers she works with every day. She can quickly connect with people and comfortably sit with them during their darkest moments. She has her easygoing nature, makes her a fun person to collaborate with on projects and tasks, and she has a great sense of humor and knows how to quickly diffuse contentious situations. Another says, since I've met Chris, she has always had a fun, great mood. She is super funny and very, very nice. She's a great person to have around in the office for sure, and provides unmatched service and is worthy of recognition for all that she does. So for that, Chris, come on up to the podium. Chris, your conspirators are in the back row there too.
I didn't consent to this.
Want to say a few words to us at the mic there?
At the podium there, yeah.
No.
At the podium, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yep, correct.
Like right this way. It's weird that I'm having my back there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much. That was very kind. I don't know that I can accept all of those words. But anyway, thank you very much. And I feel honored and mostly humbled because I'm surrounded by people that are just all those words. And I've had a good modeling for that. So hopefully I've learned something. Thanks.
Remarkable team. Well, wait up there just a second then.
We'll come take some pictures with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Here you go. If you could open that up.
Are you?
The big yours in the back. All set?
Okay.
Chris, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, what we'll do now, as I mentioned at the beginning, we'll go ahead and review the agenda as we have before us and consider which ones we feel that we could put on consent item, which means that we agree as it's been presented. So we will begin with agenda items 1 through 10. Are there any of these that need to be held? Commissioner Gardner, Commissioner Lee?
Nope.
No.
No? Question that was brought to me on number 10, it's a $36,000 increase. It's a nominal adjustment that had to be made. 11 through 14, of course, we're going to hold 14.
Can we hold number 11?
11,
I don't have any others.
no others?
Nope.
Okay. And I think we have one for closed session. Two?
Item number 15 and number 18.
Number 15 and 18.
Can we do 16 as well?
16 as well.
So just striking 18 then,
And then strike 17, right?
I mean 17.
Okay. So with that, Maureen, could you confirm what we've agreed to on this?
So we're holding 11 and 14, and then on the closed session, holding as stated 15, 16, and 18, striking 17.
Okay. Any other comments? Is that confirmed? Okay. Then with that, we will go ahead and go to our agenda number 14. Given the recent resolution made by the state legislature, just yesterday, I believe it was, we felt a need to join them with that. And to present a resolution. And how this will work, we have two guests here, both native Ukrainians, grew up in Ukraine. Aliyah Herod grew up in the Ukraine city of Kharkiv. Yes, you know where I live, so you'll beat me up if I say this incorrectly, but Kharkiv. As a college student, she and her husband met and married. And since that time, they have lived in Utah County and regularly returned to her home in Ukraine to catch up with family and friends. And then Vasil Ospinkov.
Close enough. It's good.
Close enough. Vasil grew up in the capital city of Kiev. He has lived in Utah County for the last several years and was a tennis coach in Ukraine and supported the national Ukrainian tennis team. And I forgot what year.
1999.
1999. Was that for the Olympic part at the time, or was it regional European?
Davis Cup.
Davis Cup. I want to have that recorded later on. 1999 for the Davis Cup. And I'll introduce what their role will be in just a moment. On the agenda, as you look online, you'll see a resolution and an updated resolution. And I think I have before me the updated resolution that the two commissioners have seen. In addition to that, there is a letter from the former Ukraine Minister of Finance from 2014 to 2016. He wrote that this morning and asked it to be put on as part of the agenda to allow Utah County, as an invitation to Utah County residents and anyone else who might read it. And it outlines how we as individuals can support the Ukrainians in their efforts to maintain their sovereignty. And there's several links to that letter, and we welcome the public to look at that and act as they were able to. What we will do now is that we will read this resolution, and I think we probably should vote on accepting it now that I'm thinking about it. And then after we read it in English, we'll invite Vasil and Leah to come up to read it in Ukrainian language. And when that happens, we'll invite them to come to a standing microphone that will be there just in a moment near a blue, right over there. And then read the same resolution in their native tongue. And then after that, I'll outline what happens next. So with that, do you want to read it?
I would love to.
Please.
Yeah. It says, a resolution in support of Ukraine and condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin. Whereas, after decades of foreign rule and control over Ukraine and its neighboring countries, that country won independence from the former Soviet Union, now Russia, in 1991. Whereas in February 8th, 1994, Ukraine joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's NATO's Partnership for Peace program to strengthen ties with European members as an enhanced opportunities partner. Whereas on December 5th, 1994, the Russian Federation and the United Kingdom and the United States of America signed the Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances, wherein each country pledged to respect the sovereignty of Ukraine and its borders and refrain from the threat of use of force against Ukraine. Whereas February 2014, in the wake of the Revolution of Dignity, the status of Crimea and the Donbas, internationally recognized as part of Ukraine, came into question. During those conflicts, Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, with the war on Donbas waged by separatists supported by Russian volunteers, and Russia itself continued. Whereas through 2021 and into 2022, Russia conducted numerous military exercises and amassed large caches of military equipment near the Ukraine border. Then on February 23rd, 2022, conducted a multi-pronged and unprovoked invasion into Ukraine from the east, the north, and from its southern borders. Whereas while peace talks between Ukraine and Russian authorities tentatively began, then ended, many hundreds, perhaps thousands of Ukrainian civilians have died in wanton slaughter, with cities, businesses, and sovereign Ukrainian lands laid waste at the hands of Russian forces, all under the direction of Vladimir Putin. Whereas while Russian aircraft bombings, artillery, and rockets assault lands throughout Ukraine, tanks, cluster bombs, thermobaric vacuum bombs cause widespread and random destruction, killing and horrifying Ukrainian people of all ages. Whereas in response to Russia's unfounded war and increased violence, the Ukrainian military have been joined by the nation's people, members of parliament, and their president, Volodymyr Zelensky, in taking up arms in defense of their country's capital, Kyiv, and throughout all the nation. Whereas the United States, European nations, other countries, and many Russians themselves have made repeated calls for an end to the bloodshed and for the Russian forces to withdraw out of the sovereign land, all have been ignored by Russian President Putin. Whereas many nations have begun economic sanctions to limit and significantly disable the Russian government from continuing to prosecute its war against Ukraine, as well as provide critical armament and supplies to aid the sovereign people in their own defense. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the legislative body of Utah County, Utah, 1, commends the resolve and restraint shown by a courageous people of Ukraine for their right of sovereignty, and publicly recognizes and honors the uncounted men and women and children who gave their lives to maintain their independence and freedom. Stands with the people of Ukraine in the defense of their rights as a sovereign nation to maintain the integrity of their borders with other nations. Denounces Russia's baseless invasion of Ukraine and joins with the Utah State Legislature and State Executive in standing in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Commends and supports Utah's House Concurrent Resolution 21 of 2022 concerning the conflict in Ukraine, and encourages Utah's governor with the President of the United States to continue to seek nationwide support for the country of Ukraine. Encourages ongoing support and unity between the United States of America, the European nations, and other allies, and provide direct support and relief to the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people, and to aid in Russia's withdrawal from Ukraine, and to reaffirm Ukraine's sovereignty. Supports, strengthens alliances among nations of the world in support of independence of each country and for each nation's citizens' unalienable right to live without fear of reprisal. Encourages the state legislature and governor to promote these principles and for the principle of national economic independence among all American states and with the President of the United States. Be it further resolved that the Utah County Commission urges the United States federal government and its allies to take every appropriate action to be energy and mineral independent. Be it further resolved that the legislative body of Utah County, Utah, in support of the sovereignty and independence of Ukraine, directs the raising of the Ukrainian national flag in the place of the Utah County flag, located on the northwest corner of the historic Utah County Courthouse in Provo, Utah, beside the United States flag and the state of Utah flags for 1 week, beginning with today's date, Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Actually, it's March. And ending at 4 p.m. Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, at which time a solemn lowering and replacing of the Ukrainian flag with the Utah County flag. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted by the county clerk to Utah Speaker of the House, to the President of the Utah Senate, to the Utah State Governor, and to each member of Utah County's Legislative Caucus, and to each city manager within Utah County. Resolved, proclaimed, and ordered this second day of March 2022.
Now, what we'll do is invite,
Well, can we vote on it real quick?
oh, yes, please, thank you for reminding.
I would like to move to adopt item number 14.
And I will gladly second that. I do want to make one statement in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely.
I think all of us remember where we were at when 9/11 hit. And this is one of those times in which we will probably mark as a turning point. Hopefully, things get under control. But if they don't, we'll mark this time. I've been asked repeatedly since this has happened, what can I do? That seems to be the dominant question. What can I do? What can I do? And we're trying to do something within our little circle of influence. And so I reached out, and I reached out trying to find charities and others that are trying to do something over there, because my wife says it wouldn't be prudent for me to get on a plane and try to go over there and join the Million Man March to Kiev. So that's not an option for me. But I did look to find areas of support. I'll put these into the record. They're charities. Anytime I talk about a charity, someone needs to look out for their own and make sure that they're credible in their own right. There was one in here that I found very interesting, and it goes straight to the bank for Ukraine, for the armed forces. And so I'll put them into the record. But again, these are times that are very interesting for us. I think we all feel that. And it's important for us to stand up wherever, whenever, when we see naked aggression like this that comes into a sovereign country. It just makes all of us want to stand up and do something. So hopefully we can in our own little spheres and work in a way that we can find peace in this world, peace together, and maybe through unity we can say enough's enough, and we can back down the bullies of the world back into their own places, and hopefully they will be good to their people. But that's all I want to say, and I was glad to second that motion. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Gardner, for bringing that forward as that resolution.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to give you a quote from Ronald Reagan. I actually have this quote on the wall in my office. And it said, "Freedom is not the sole prerogative of a chosen few, but the universal right of all God's children." And I believe that Ronald Reagan said that not just in that we, in the U.S., as we go through school and we learn about inalienable rights, and oftentimes we talk about rights that are guaranteed us in our Constitution. I think it's important to recognize the concept of natural rights, and that our rights don't come through government, and our rights don't come through the Constitution or a piece of paper. Our rights come from God. And that means that all of God's children deserve freedom, not just those that are born on the North American continent, but those that are born in Ukraine as well. And I think that it is imperative that we stand with all of God's children when their sovereignty is threatened. So that's why I brought forth this resolution, because freedom is not the sole prerogative of just a chosen few. It is the natural and unalienable right of all of God's children. And so it's imperative that we stand with the children of Ukraine today and recognize that they have that same right to freedom that we have.
Good.
I'm not Ukrainian, but once upon a time, about 1,000 years ago, Lithuania, which is my father's side of the family's homeland, occupied all of that land north and south down to the Black Sea and back, or Baltic Sea and back up again. And perhaps we got too big for our sense of worth, and we got trimmed down the size that we are now. But the Baltics, Poland, Yugoslavia, Belarus, which is now Russia, of course, but other countries have been in and out of what we used to be Soviet Union. And the Lithuanians broke away from that in 1990, I believe it was, and in a very dramatic televised event. And it excited me because it meant that the Soviet Union's grip on the world might end. And now we see it maybe that aspiration is still harbors to regain the lands that it once had lost about 32 years ago now. Unfortunately, the hell of war continues to exist no matter when we live, but we're grateful to be part of this resolution to support and locally. Grateful for the Minister of Finance letter or recommendation that's on the agenda. It's in published so people can look at it and see if they can participate in some way or another. But we encourage everyone to do what they can in their own little sphere of at home, individuals, as families, or as groups and of influence, to do some good for our Ukrainian friends and try to help get through this season of war. But with that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So that passes 3-0. Now, what we've done is we've asked
Leah.
if I don't write it down, which I did. We've asked Aliyah to read the first page of this resolution in her native tongue. After she does, we've asked Vasil to read it in his native tongue, the second side of this resolution. And as they do so, we'll invite Aliyah to come to the microphone at this time. And Vasil, you can come to the microphone and stand beside her while she does that, and that way you can take your part. And as Vasil reads, I would invite the county commission to join them behind them as they read it, and we'll hold a Ukrainian flag that mixes the Ukrainian nation as well as its government together in the flag. So with that, we'll invite Aliyah and Vasil. Go ahead, Aliyah.
Коли після десятиліть іноземного панування та контролю над Україною та сусідніми країнами ця країна здобула незалежність від колишнього Радянського Союзу, а нині від Росії, у 1991 році. Коли 8 лютого 1994 року Україна приєдналася до програми партнерства заради миру Організації Північно-Атлантичного договору НАТО для зміцнення зв'язків з європейськими членами як партнер із розширеними можливостями. Коли 5 грудня 1994 року Російська Федерація, Велика Британія та Сполучені Штати Америки підписали Будапештський меморандум про гарантії безпеки, в якому кожна країна зобов'язалася поважати суверенітет України та її кордони та отримувати від загрози або застосування сили проти України. Коли в лютому 2014 року, після Революції Гідності, статус Криму та частини Донбасу, міжнародно визнаних частиною України, став під сумнів, під час цих конфліктів Росія анексувала Крим у 2014 році, а війна на Донбасі, яку вели сепаратисти за підтримкою російських добровольців та самої Росії, тривали. Коли протягом 2021 і 2022 років Росія проводила численні військові навчання та накопичувала великі запаси військової техніки поблизу кордонів України, потім 23 лютого 2022 року здійснив багатостороннє і неспровоковане вторгнення в Україну зі Сходу, півночі та з її південних кордонів. У той час, як мирні переговори між Україною та російською владою попередньо розпочалися, а потім закінчилися, багато сотень, можливо, тисячі українських мирних жителів загинули в безглуздих вбивствах а міста, підприємства та суверенні українські землі були спустошені руками російських військ, усі під контролем напрямок Володимира Путіна. Коли в той час, як російські авіаційні бомбардування, артилерія та ракети атакують територію України, танки, касетні бомби, термобаричні вакуумні бомби спричиняють масове та випадкове знищення, вбиваючи та жахаючи українців різного віку, коли у відповідь на необґрунтовану війну Росії та посилення насильства до українських військових приєдналися народ нації, депутати та їхній президент Володимир Зеленський у зброї на захист столиці свого повіту Києва та всієї нації. Коли Сполучені Штати, європейські країни та інші країни неодноразово закликали припинити кровопролиття та вивести російські війська з суверенної землі, всі були проігноровані президентом Росії Путіним. Коли до того, що багато країн розпочали економічні санкції, щоб обмежити та суттєво відключити російський уряд від продовження переслідування його війни проти України, а також надати важливе озброєння та постачання для допомоги суверенному народу у його власному захисті.
Отже, було вирішено, що законодавчий орган округу Юта, штата Юта, вперше дослуховується, визнає і схвалює рішучість і стриманість, виявлені мужнім українським народом щодо свого права на суверенітет, і публічно визнає і вшановує мужність чоловіків, жінок і дітей, які віддали і віддають своє життя, щоб зберегти свою незалежність і свободу. Друге, виступає разом з народом України у захисті його природних прав і права на збереження цілісності своїх суверенних національних кордонів. Третє, засуджує безпідставне вторгнення Росії в Україну і приєднується до законодавчого органу штату Юта і виконавчої влади штату, висловлюючи солідарність з народом України. Четверте, схвалює та підтримує паралельну резолюцію Палати представників Юти 21 2022 року щодо конфлікту в Україні та заохочує губернатора Юти разом із президентом Сполучених Штатів продовжувати шукати загальнонаціональні підтримки для країни Україна. П'яте. Заохочує постійну підтримку та єдність між Сполученими Штатами Америки, європейськими націями та іншими союзниками та надає пряму підтримку та допомогу українському уряду та українському народу, а також для допомоги у виході Росії з України та для підтвердження суверенітету України. Шосте. Підтримує зміцнення союзів між націями світу на підтримку незалежності кожної країни, а для громадян кожної нації невід'ємне право жити без страху помсти. Сьоме. Заохочує законодавчий орган та губернатора штату втіляти ці принципи, а також принцип національної економічної незалежності між усіма американськими штатами та разом із президентом Сполучених Штатів. Восьме. Було вирішено, що комісія округу Юта закликає федеральний уряд Сполучених Штатів та його союзників вжити усіх необхідних заходів, щоб бути незалежними від енергії та корисних копалин. Дев'яте. Було вирішено, що законодавчий орган округу Юта, штат Юта, на підтримку суверенітету та незалежності України керує підняттям українського державного прапора на місці прапора округа Юта, розташованого на північному заході історичної будівлі суду округу Юта, Прово, штат Юта, поряд з прапорами Сполучених Штатів і штату Юта. Протягом 1 тижня, починаючи з сьогоднішньої дати, середи 2 березня 2022 року, і закінчуючи о 16 годині середу 9 березня 2022 року. Тоді відбудеться урочисте опускання та заміна українського прапора прапором округу Юта. 10. Було вирішено, щоб клерк округу надіслав копію цієї резолюції спікеру Палати штату Юта, президенту Сенату штату Юта, губернатору штату Юта та віце-губернатору, кожному члену округу Юта, законодавчі засідання та кожному міському голові в окрузі Юта. Проголосили 2 березня 2022 року колегія окружних комісій округа Юта, штат Юта. Томас Сакєвич, голова.
What we'll now do is we'll have the flag be taken by the sheriff, and the sheriff lead all of us to about a block from here on the northwest corner of the county courthouse building, where we'll replace Utah County flag with the Ukraine flag for 1 week as of today. So we'll follow the sheriff's team out there. We'll have our guests with their escorts here go with them behind the sheriff, and then the commission will follow them, and we invite the company to go with us if you care to. Perfect. Okay. So, Dave, Chris?
I hope this was
Yes, sorry.
Okay, now we go back to the work session, and we have a report from the Public Defender Association.
Benjamin Young, Utah County Public Defender Association, Financial Manager. I've also got Josh Esplin with me, the Chief Counsel. So we're just going to do a review for last year, kind of some performance measures and goals for next year. Real quick overview of who we are. Our mission statement is to provide effective and efficient representation to those charged with crimes in Utah County. Indigent defense specifically. Within the code, our key service that we provide is effective assistance of counsel, providing it to those who can't afford it or who are indigent. Our legislative mandate obviously comes from Article 1, Section 12, Utah Code 78B, and then there's a few case laws that establish the precedent for public defense. Our organization, we've got a fairly active board with several people who have made significant impacts in the community and have been really strong contributors. Mike Peterson is our president, Chris Cannon, Lori Fouts, Mike Petro, Claudia, and Brent. The management team is Josh and myself, as well as Tom and Debbie are the executive director and assistant executive director. And then I've got kind of our head count, just kind of for scope of the services we provide. And at any time through the presentation, if there's any questions, feel free to stop me. Or I can take questions at the end if there are any. But we wanted to share some success stories from this past year. The four areas we're going to talk about are the social workers. Bringing those on have had a significant impact, both because we can take that workload off of the attorneys and specialize in those who are more licensed and capable of providing it, as well as the impact they've had on the courts and some stuff like that. Josh will get into that. Talking about balancing the workload, making sure we're not overwhelming the attorneys, providing quality training for our employees, and then I'm going to pass it, and I'll take the discussion back to talk about some IDC funding that we've been able to acquire. So let me pass it to Josh really quick.
All right. So I can give you a little bit of an anecdotal flavor to the social workers, since I do have a caseload and have utilized them quite a bit. They really are probably the number one highlight for us in the sense of being able to really provide what our clients need in their given circumstances. We use them to screen competency issues or questions, and there's some cost savings there. A lot of times, if I meet with someone, I think there might be a competency issue, and then they meet with them and recommend that I don't need to file the competency. That's a whole process that has some cost savings that we avoid. They're very integral in trying to find programming for clients, alternatives to incarceration, as well as having a presence in the specialty courts. Specifically, mental health court has been one where they've been able to be very active in helping there. They also do help, it's not on here, but they do help in lots of cases where there's a need for a specific type of expert. They've been able to give us some really good advice and help track down some experts, which has been really, really beneficial and saved a lot of time from our attorneys. So at workload, we did see a big increase based on HB 300 in the Justice Court. Traditionally, we had utilized a contract to be able to minimize the costs there. With the increase, we brought some of that in-house and have been able to manage the workload assignments and things like that to make sure that is something that we're able to absorb. At the last time that we had talked, there was quite a backlog in trials that were pending. That's gone down. A number of reasons that has contributed to that. A lot of those have resolved. Currently, we're hovering around 60. There's still several other cases that are possibly going to be set for trial, but that's kind of where we're at as far as trials go at this point in time. What we've also focused on is increasing some of the training. We've traditionally had very low turnover from an attorney standpoint, as well as staff. We do provide continuing legal educations, or CLE. Lately, we've been teaming up with Salt Lake County LDA, that's what LDA is, as well as taking advantage of the IDC, who does regular CLE trainings. We also do our own. We're, probably 1 or 2 Fridays a month where we have an in-house, CLE session where we invite either an expert in the field or another attorney to talk about various topics that come up frequently. We have been able to utilize student interns. They're integral in that some of them may qualify to be able to actually stand in on cases, and that's been a big help. And we've been able to kind of use that to, make connections with qualified people that when positions are open, they've been able to fill, and they've already had some of that training. So with some of the newer attorneys that we have, we've increased, this new hire training program. There are 2 days of the week that we train. We also have day supervisors on each court day. They meet regularly with the attorneys that are assigned to that day to address issues, review, other topics that come up, make sure that the court days are running smoothly. We also have a number of attorneys that participate on rule-making committees, sentencing commission, and new lawyer mentoring program.
I meant to ask earlier, you said the caseloads dropped from 110 to 60. Is 60 the norm in past years prior to COVID?
We weren't really tracking trials that are set. So that number 60 just represents cases that have a trial date currently. So in the past, we didn't really track that. We just started tracking that based on COVID just to kind of see what the trends have been. A lot of the courts have been setting, multiple trials stacked on top of each other. But it seems that, there have been a lot that have been able to resolve. And so I think that's one of the bigger reasons that there's a decline there, is we've been
we'll
able
watch
to
that for future
negotiate
then.
stuff.
Okay, thank you.
So.
And then specifically talking about the Indigent Defense Commission, basically it provides matching funds. So we apply for that through the county each year. This year, in addition to the base Indigent Defense Commission IDC funding, we were also qualified for 4E funding, which increased the match that they're providing by about 3%, bringing every dollar that comes out of the Utah County budget $1.34 that's actually spent for public defense. So. Moving on, some quantitative stuff. First of all, speaking of the workload, yeah.
So we did see a little bit of a decrease, likely due to HB 300. A lot of the cases that had traditionally been filed in district court were filed in justice court. What we're looking at now, these numbers kind of represent an hourly, amount of time, as we've discussed in past presentations. And, currently this caseload, as far as controllable tasks go, so this doesn't include training, travel, it doesn't include in-court time, so any court days, it doesn't include that time. This is client communication, research and writing, meeting with prosecutors, having various motions that we file. So these are controllable tasks that way. Currently, based on the number of attorneys we have handling this particular caseload, is about 46.7. Our goal here would be, since we do have other every week, each of our attorneys has one full day of court. And so we'd like to, our goal is to be able to get down to about 40 or under 40 with controllable tasks so that we can make sure that we're able to manage and handle the cases effectively.
Those columns represent felony hours, felony total hours,
Correct.
misdemeanor hours, and total misdemeanor hours.
Correct, and those numbers come from some studies that have been done across the nation. Currently, there is, I think it was 2019 that we participated in a Utah study that is looking at this same, the average number of hours that a particular type of case would take to provide effective assistance of counsel. The IDC is actually in the process of coming out with a report on that, and we've spoken with them, regularly about what those numbers look like, and I'm not sure when they're going to actually publish that. But this is kind of a snapshot just based on those other studies that we've used. So I don't know if there's any other questions. Thanks.
Some financial highlights. First of all, the cost per case, if we take the number of cases assigned to us divided by the cost, is $1,262 per case, a bargain at that price. Second thing, so we are a 501c3. As part of being a 501c3, we have to report our expenses into three categories: program expenses, administrative expenses, and fundraising. We have no fundraising expenses, but administrative expenses we were able to keep at 11.8% of our total. Industry standard is between 10 and 15, so we're kind of on the lower end of that, which means every dollar goes to program and is going actively into public defense. Revenue diversity, as mentioned earlier, 71.9% of the services we're providing are coming out of the Utah County budget. The rest is funded through IDC. And then budget utilization, because we're able to use some of the COVID credits, employee retention credit, although it allowed us to provide additional public defense. We exceeded the budget by $234,000, but it was offset by those COVID funds. So we didn't need to come back to the county to ask for additional funding. Some cost-saving things that we did last year. As Josh mentioned, the social workers had a significant impact. We would have otherwise been contracting out those services by bringing justice court in-house instead of contracting it a second time. It reduced our costs there by about $36,000, and then renegotiating insurance costs, updating some computers in the prior year, and then bringing some professional services in-house with my position, just folding them into my position as the financial manager. We were able to see some cost savings in those areas as well. And then we just kind of wanted to talk briefly for just a second about some things that we want in 2022 kind of moving forward, some goals that we have and what we're trying to reach for. So first, appropriate workloads. As Josh mentioned, we're currently at 46.7 hours per attorney per week of controllable tasks in addition to their training and travel time and court days and things like that, which is about 10 hours a week on top of the controllable tasks. Our goal is to get to 50 hours per week per attorney. And that's just kind of as we've grown, that's what we're striving to reach towards. Improved training. So there's two things that we have here that we want to, or three things that we have here that we want to focus on. First, we're bringing in law students. We already have 7 that have signed up for our summer program, which is an increase of 2 additional law students from 2021. But they're also able to represent in court, which is a big experience for them, and has also been a great pipeline for future employees. We're focusing this year on specialization within the specialty courts, mental health, veterans court, justice court, and drug court, specializing attorneys that just handle that caseload, which allows them to provide a higher quality to the clients that are in that, as well as we're pursuing some professional training for our paralegals and legal assistants. And then finally, last year we had a slide that was very similar to this, saying that we were at 110 cases on backlog. We've been able to bring that from 110 down to 60 without requesting any additional funding. If we're able to continue at this pace, we'll absorb that 60 in our regular budget. and continue as is. If those trials move faster, we just want a heads up to the county. We will ask for additional funding if the workload exceeds our capacity. At this point, we don't think we do. We don't want to surprise you. So we just want you to be aware that is something we're considering. And as I said, last year, we had said that we would need 4 additional attorneys at a cost of $440. We were able to absorb half of those cases without needing to ask for it. So we don't want there to be any surprises. So just to be conservative, we're giving you a heads up on that. And that concludes the goals for 22. Is there any questions on the county from the County Commission on Public Defense?
Very needed service, obviously.
Yeah.
Got to have it. So thank you for
Yeah,
doing
we
that work in
appreciate
our
it, and
community.
we appreciate the support we've gotten from the county. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it just as we move forward, one of the things that I will be interested in is tracking these numbers over time.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
know looking at historical data is a little more difficult, but you guys have done a fantastic job in looking at your metrics here and how we move those forward. And as things move on, I'm just interested in tracking that over time. I think that'll be very helpful, particularly with the rate of growth going on in the county. I think that'll be critical over the next 5 to 10 years to ensure that we're continuing to provide this guaranteed service for our.
I was just going to highlight on that. One of the things that we're trying to do as well that didn't make the slide was in our tracking system, we've kind of built in an ability to track a number of charges. So hopefully as that database builds up, we will eventually be able to also not just say, here's how many of these case types we have, but like, here's the total number of a specific charge that we handled over a year. Just to give a little bit more, detailed statistic there, so.
Yeah, a lot of that information will be very helpful to us as we look at justice court and we're looking at hours spent and all of those things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that does it for the work session. Now we move over to our holding items in a regular session. Commissioner Lee, you had number 11.
Yes. So I know this is to approve and authorize the signing of an agreement between Utah County and RMB Services to amend agreement to extend the disinfecting services for the administration building through 2/15. I was kind of confused by that because I thought that we'd already discontinued the disinfecting services. And so when I see an amendment on there to continue it, I know it's only till the 15th of this month. I just want to know what was going on.
So the original agreement went till December of last year, and they just kept providing that service, and we felt like we should try and make it right. We sent an official notice, so they aren't doing it anymore, but they did do it clear up to that 15th date. So just trying to balance it out for them.
Oh, so they did it up to the 15th?
Correct.
Of last month.
Of last month,
Yeah,
yes.
February.
It's
not
February.
this month.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
backdating it to February 15th of when we actually sent an official notice, please stop. They just kept going without authorization, so,
Okay,
okay?
that makes sense.
Any other questions? Okay.
Motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve and authorize the signing of the amended agreement as stated in number 11.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. It passes 3-0. We have, double check, we have no other regular agenda items. So that concludes this portion of our commission meeting. We now get ready to go into our closed session. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yeah, public comment.
What comment?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Should be one after the closed session or before?
Yeah.
I gotta rewrite this.
My name's Eldon A. Neves. I won't take very long, but I appreciate the somber tone today. It was just really great to. I know when I was in Vietnam and I saw that the war tends to bring out the worst and the best in people sometimes under those circumstances. Some of the finest friends that I have are ones that I served with over there. I was an artilleryman sergeant there, and it was good experience and also it was a good experience. I was tempted, as Commissioner Lee said, to volunteer to go over there, because you think, what a better way to go and blow yourself up, at this stage in your life. But I'm afraid I'd be more of a deterrent than I would be of any use. I appreciate Commissioner Gardner's and Commissioner Sakovich and Commissioner Lee's comments about freedom-loving people all over the world, because I think sometimes we tend to think it's just us, and that's not true. The Vietnamese, the Mexicans, the Africans, those are some of the people that I've associated with, and they love freedom just as much as we do. I really wish that more of the public would attend these kind of a meeting. It seems like a shame that at this point, then all we have is just public officials, and it really shouldn't be that way. I think the public should see what you folks do, and I appreciate that. A couple of sessions ago, you had some major discussions about the elections and so forth, and it was difficult to sit there and have you kind of maligned when it really wasn't something you shouldn't have been maligned. And I appreciate what you did just to sit there and kind of take that. I was I had a chance to teach a group this year about the love of Christ. I'm sorry to bring this in, love of Christ. Sometimes I think that we as members of a community or of a group think that the Lord only loves us, when that's not true. We're just a little minuscule part of the people of the world, and obviously the Lord intends that we all are saved and so forth. And the same applies with freedom. I think that sometimes we, as I said, we forget that. As a part of that, as a community in Palmyra, we decided that we're going to go ahead with this incorporation because we also love freedom there. Apart from Spanish Fork or Springville, because we feel like that freedom's being taken away. And so we had the attorney Robert Moore. He was with us at a meeting, very well attended, really great discussion that he offered for us and convinced. I think we had about 85 people there, and basically every one of them were on board for this incorporation, and so we're proceeding on with that. We've also had an outfit, an organization they've joined us now, and they're providing legal assistance. They're providing money and surveyor and so forth, without having us tie in too much to them. So I told them, you're not running it, we're going to run it, and they agreed with that concept. And so what I would like to do is see if you and you need to always look back and see if I need to do some public comments, Commissioner. But anyway, I wondered if on the 24th of March, if you commissioners would like to attend a public meeting, and it's just nice to have you there, just to go ahead and talk to the Palmyra people and others of that community, because I think what we would like to do is establish Palmyra as a township and then move beyond that, because I think it's important to keep some of those open areas still open.
Did you say the 24th of March?
24th of March.
What time?
7:00.
So that is
Yeah, we can change that, because we would change it to.
There is a fundraiser for the autism preschool that the three of us
Okay.
have been invited to.
Okay, and of course we're more important than they are.
Than the children with autism.
That's right.
Said
I've been
to the mother
accused
of two
having
autistic children, Mama Bear might come out.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. I understand. I'm just
Okay.
teasing.
We can change that to meet
Yeah, so
your
'cause
schedule.
I would love to be there. I know that my fellow commissioners would love to be there. So let's work together.
Okay.
And find a time that works that we can be there.
Why don't you tell me, do you know what day we can do that? Wednesday? Well, no, Wednesday's a bad time.
Let's follow up with you on
We'll
that.
follow up.
Okay, that sounds, but we would like to have you there, because I think right now, we're at a critical stage where we're gonna get that done. We have the boundaries established, and we're meeting with the surveyor, and he's gonna do that, so, you know, we're
Rob can
on.
come with us to make sure we don't say anything we're not supposed
Who
to
is that?
say. Rob Moore can come with us to make sure we don't say anything
But
we're not
would you
supposed to
make
say.
sure Dave doesn't come, though, will you?
Right, that's why I voluntold
As
Rob.
long as
to
Rob's
keep
not out there
Dave
trying to
away.
convince everybody to go a certain way.
Okay. But thanks very much.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to have you there, because I think that, and I don't know what your feelings are about incorporation, but I think it's something that the county probably would like. I assume I talked to Commissioner Lee, and he seemed to be for it, and Commissioner Sakovich, we're fellow Army people. Or were you in the Army?
Marines, he's a
Marines?
Marine.
Well, that creates a whole different dynamic, doesn't it?
All of a sudden, you're not as good a friend as
No,
you
we're
thought
not
you
very
were.
good
I'll
friends.
ignore you in the future, Eldon. How's that?
Yeah. But you were an officer, weren't you?
Both, yeah.
That's another idea, another bad.
But you and I are both farmers. So.
We are. No, we're not ranchers. You don't call a
going
rancher a farmer now.
Anyway,
All right, I'm
Crops
done.
and
thanks, Eldon.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eldon.
So you're running me off then, huh?
I'm looking for someone to do that. No.
Eldon, you can take all the time you need.
Oh, thank you.
Any other public comments? Then that officially closes out the open meeting. Thank you. We'll go ahead into our closed session.